Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for another What We Really Learned live stream following the past Chelsea game, and this time a wonderful Chelsea game as it finished Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 4 at Selhurst Park yesterday afternoon. And honestly, all of us are a bit gassed. Yes, maybe some of us are even getting ahead of ourselves, including myself, but I don't really care. I've been saying this kind of phrase for the last few months. I'm like, what's the point in not getting ahead of myself? Because that just means I'm not as happy. And then whether it happens or not, I can't change anyway. So at least if I let myself get ahead of myself, I'll be happy for a while. And if we then crumbles at the end, hey, I'll be sad regardless of whether I got ahead of myself at the beginning or not. So let's just be happy for the time being. Let's just be happy we found our best front three. Let's just be happy that we finally scored more than 2 goals in a game in which Thomas Tuchel has been in charge. And to discuss all of that, as well as the top 4 race with Leicester just this minute, getting a goal back against West Ham as it's now 3-1. To discuss all of that, we're joined by a very, very special guest, Mr. Jay McIntosh, part of the Chelsea Social, of course. All the links are down in the description. Jay, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I think you're right to be gassed. I think you're right to be a bit gassed yesterday's game. Like, there are some times when, teams have it maybe once or twice a season. Other teams have it more often than not. Like, you get a peek behind the curtain at what sort of premium football under that manager looks like. And I think under Tuchel, besides the, conceding, that was sort of like the peek behind the curtain as to how things can be. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're well within your rights to be excited. I was as well.
I think so. We had to be. I mean, especially that first half. Obviously, the second half, we'll discuss all of it. Second half was maybe a little bit less crazy exciting, but it was still good. But that first half, in particular, the first half an hour, 35 minutes, well, unbelievable. Like, honestly, we haven't played football like that. You could argue all season. Maybe the one exemption might be the 3-1 win over Leeds at home under Frank Lampard. But I don't know. It's different when you play like that against the Leeds, who is obviously very open, usually, and was in that game. But those two are probably our best and most exciting performances. But if you just look at the 35 minutes or the first half, that was the best football we've played all season. And I know someone said it yesterday, that doesn't mean much with how we've played this season in terms of the quality of football and how nice it was to look at. Fair enough, but still, hey, you have to start somewhere. And yesterday was certainly brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, or if you're watching this later on when this has turned into a video, please subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. We want to get to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So the more of you that subscribe, the quicker we can make that happen. Smash that like button. Again, whether you're watching this right now or whether you're watching this at a later point, doesn't matter. Smash that like button. Become a member if you fancy that. Use the super chat function if you fancy that. But other than that, let's just get into the video. And of course, like I said already, Jay's links, his Twitter, and the link to his YouTube channel, the Chelsea Social, are all down in the description below. Definitely check them out and give them a follow. But I would say, before we talk about the game itself, we should probably discuss the lineup, which I will just put up on screen right now. What did you make of that when that came out, Jay?
To be honest, I liked it. That's kind of what I thought it'd be. Besides, I wouldn't have played in my lineup. I didn't play Pulisic or Havertz. I opted for Tammy and Cho up there, but it's good to see Cho on. But Havertz and Pulisic's not exactly an issue, is it? I just wanted Tammy to have a go. I was nervous about Pulisic when I saw it, but I liked the rest of it not because of his ability. His ability he's going to be a world-class player, isn't he? But I just don't want him getting injured. So that was kind of my reservation about it. But he's been on very good form and continued it. So yeah, I liked the lineup, to be fair. I thought it was decent. What about you?
So did I, to be honest. I mean, obviously the I suppose biggest surprise was probably the fact that Zouma started, obviously forced because Christensen picked up a small injury on Friday. As far as I'm aware, obviously we'll get more news tonight at 10:30 about if Tuchel was asked anything else in the post-match press conference. But at this moment in time, we don't know whether he'll be back for Porto or back for Man City or not. Hopefully, and fingers crossed, because of course he's been brilliant for the last few months. And obviously Thiago Silva was suspended, so he was forced to be cut Zouma, which obviously we didn't know in advance. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I was kind of hoping for that front three. I just wasn't sure with Pulisic, but that is a position where I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know his exact fitness situation. I would suppose the manager does. So if the manager says he can start, then he can start. But obviously, if I'm thinking about a predicted 11, I didn't really know that. So, it's just from that point of view. I wanted to and hoped for and thought it would be Kai up top.
I wanted it to be.
Okay.
I wanted it to be. But as in, like,
Kai will start against Porto. And the Tammy thing, I fully agree with you. I would have loved for him to get a start or at least come from the bench. But at the end of the day, if I'm being somewhat realistic, we all knew that wasn't going to happen, in particular after Tuchel's words in the press conference. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I was happy with the lineup. Myself, Python, and who else was in the preview? Good question. RJ. Don't know if you know RJ, but RJ, good things off Twitter.
Yeah, he writes the Chelsea Social.
Exactly him, yeah. Exactly him.
Lovely guy. I
agree. Looks like Willy Caballero and McGoldrick. But, to be honest, he also looks like an Italian mate of mine who I met in England. Very funny.
That is such an amazing shout. He does. If you hear his voice, though, he sounds like a cricket commentator, like an Australian, very soft-spoken. It's almost like slightly louder than golf commentators, but in a nice Australian accent. RJ's a good guy, man.
Yeah, no, he really is. Anyways, and we were discussing it, and it was kind of Price would have actually preferred to go for Reece James yesterday because he thought against Porto just go with Callum to give it more pace. RJ and myself disagreed, so I was very happy to see Callum there. I thought it was important to give Reece a rest because he'll start Porto, he'll start Man City, and then we'll see after that. RJ, hey, you're happy to come on. You're happy to come on and share your views. But hey, Jay even backed you up a minute ago. He said he wanted or was hoping for Tammy to start. So, it can't be too harsh, RJ. But yeah, as for the game, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better first 10, 15 minutes, could you? Like, I'm pretty sure, I didn't fact check this myself, but in the Chelsea group on WhatsApp I'm in, someone asked, when was the last time we scored 2 goals in the first 15 minutes? And what they sent was when we won 4-0 at Brighton, a game I was actually at. But if you remember that game a while ago, remember that Hazard Batshuayi when Batshuayi was lying on the floor?
Yeah.
So that was the last time, as far as I'm aware, that we scored 2 goals in the first 15 minutes in a Premier League game. So, that is great to see. It's been a while. And both goals were brilliant. I mean, if you think about it, Pulisic arguably should have scored before Kai ever scored his first one. But Kai won the ball back himself. And then Hudson-Odoi fed him and a lovely curl into the bottom corner. And what a start, wasn't it?
That goal was really, really classy. It's like it was almost like a very, very low and soft loft. He sort of lofted it, didn't he? There was no power. It was purely placement. But he was also relying on the fact that this is going to sound overcalculated, but he fully intended the ball to land at that angle on the ground for it to make the bounce the way it did. It kind of just kinked off to the right, and it was completely intentional. It was wonderful, and also just for football statistics, considering how much Tuchel really admires them, it's really nice for Callum to be directly contributing to a goal. Also, I thought he looked really good, to be fair. So
Callum, that is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Callum. Yeah. Because obviously Kai and Pulisic were the men of the match. But in fairness to Callum, I don't think he looked out of position for a guy that you'd argue is playing out of position. And I thought the same with Zouma, to be fair, occasionally. So that goal is what we want to see, the Kai and Callum link up, because they seem to have a decent connection.
100%. I mean, it's weird if you think about it, because the more defensive our opponents are, the more better we are than them, if that makes sense. The more our wing backs become just wingers. So because of how Palace played and because of how good our press in midfield was, it allowed, in particular, Callum Hudson-Odoi to play so high up the pitch consistently that he was pretty much a winger, barely even a right wing back at that point, which was good to see. And it worked out brilliantly. And what was it? A minute and 42 seconds later, Christian Pulisic, turned up the deja vu because in the same kit, in the same stadium, with the same foot, in the same end, in the same corner of the same end. He already smacked one home against Crystal Palace at the end of last season after Project Restart, or in Project Restart, of course. What a finish that was as well. Lovely build-up too. Kovacic out to Ben Chilwell, who, just played it round the corner to Kai, who first time cut back to Pulisic. At least someone does cutbacks, because we had a couple of other moments in this game where a cutback would have allowed us to score another 1 or 2 or 3 goals. But yeah, what a finish by Pulisic as well. And I don't want to turn, I said this yesterday already, I don't want to turn this into Timo Werner slander, but I don't even want to imagine if Havertz played that very same ball to Timo Werner. In his current confidence, state, he wouldn't have even attempted what Pulisic did. But even if he did, I don't even want to imagine where that ball would have gone. So, brilliant finish. And I'm always, whenever Pulisic shoots with his left foot, I'm very impressed by how strong his weak foot is, because we don't have that many players with a really good weak foot. And I think he's one of those.
Yeah, man. It was wonderful. I think the construction of that goal was sort of beautiful all the way through, like cover with the dummy as well to let the ball run to Chilwell. Chilwell's pass was perfectly weighted. He's been on great form. And then what Kai did, which was really important, was he not only played the ball first time, but he played it with real pace. And he just completely trusted that Pulisic would have the control to knock it onto his left foot. And that's exactly what happened. And, when you see Pulisic do stuff like that, it's like, he's the guy still for us when he can be. Like when he's fit, he's the guy, isn't he? He's arguably the most instinctual finisher we have. Like if you put him, he's sort of got a nose for it. He really, really like hustles for it. Whereas Giroud, it comes to him. Tammy hasn't got the chances, but he's a very good finisher. But Pulisic, like when he gets the ball, it's kind of all he thinks is goal, 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 and he does it. And it's brilliant. It's amazing to watch.
It really is, and that is one of the things that I, to be honest, didn't know he had when we signed him from Dortmund. Because at Dortmund he was mostly played out on the right, and now that I said he has such a strong weak foot, it kind of makes me wonder if that's even true. But whenever he plays on the right, all he does is get assists and barely ever scores. And when he plays on the left, all he does is ever score and not get so many assists. But he should have had one yesterday if Kai took one of his other chances, because one of those through balls by Pulisic yesterday was beautiful. But yeah, I mean, that, like you said, when he is fit, he is arguably that most, decisive, game-changing player we might have. I mean, you can certainly make that very same case for Kai Havertz and Mason Mount as well. But in terms of on the most regular basis being the guy that scores the decisive goal, gets the decisive assist, or makes the decisive dribble, he's probably the one that gets it, which is why it's been so frustrating all season long that he's not been fit more. And
he's the nitrous button, isn't he? He's like nitrous. So you can press him and he's that weapon that takes you beyond. No one else does that in the team, as well as he does anyway. No,
100% couldn't agree with that one. It's a good analogy. I like it. What a finish! I'm still baffled when I watched the goal back a few times last night and even this morning. It was just such a good goal. I was so happy with it. And hey, we had that moment to make it 3 even earlier than we did, because I'm pretty sure that was a 2-0. That over-the-top ball by Jorginho, by the way, beautiful. I saw you tweeted. Yeah. That's the kind of ball you ask for him to play more. Totally see why you're saying that. He's just a bit more safe than others, because he knows probably if I try that more, he can't come off that perfectly every time. So people just slate me if I don't pull it off. So I'm not even going to try. But yeah, no, what a great ball. And then that touch by Kai Havertz. Wow. I mean, people have made comparisons to Bergkamp. People have made comparisons to Gascoigne. What a touch. I mean, I would strongly presume, because of how highly I rate him, it was 100% intentional, that he knew the defender was coming and he
100%.
So good. The awareness to have that, the control to have that, the ability to do that. Sadly, the finish then, I mean, he got it perfectly on target. It would have went bottom corner.
It's a great save. I thought it was a good save. I didn't see that getting spoken about. Like I called the touch like a controlled projection. Like he definitely, that was fully intentional. You can see in his movement and the way, like just the way he done it, that he was planning on rolling the defender. And I genuinely thought it was a really, really good save. Like the keeper got a very strong hand to it. And
I agree. No, I would agree.
Credit to the keeper. He actually had a good game, considering he conceded 4, because they could have conceded 8. And he was
really could have done. Yeah,
he was quite good. Yeah. So, and
that's
the thing with Havertz.
Havertz goal, like I touched on, when Pulisic had that kind of
exactly.
got on the end of a cross, that was a good save in itself as well. And it definitely, it was a really good save. But of course, if Kai gets a slightly better connection with the ball and gets a bit more power on it, it's unsavable as long as he places it in the same position, shall we say. But still, a really good save. And then I can't remember who cleared it. It might have been Kouyaté or whoever. But yeah, Pulisic just about didn't get in the end of it. Again, Pulisic doing what he did against West Brom, doing what he arguably did for his second goal. Just he's the guy that turns up to just push that ball over the line when no one else will. And that's one of the other frustrating things about the rest of the forwards. He's the only guy that does that. And we'll talk about it when we talk about the 4th goal, because he's the only guy that turns up at the far post. He's the only guy that seems to read a rebound. Maybe Tammy, but no one else tries to go for a rebound. Obviously, he did it against West Brom already. Didn't help us much in the end, but obviously the the Alonso free kick that the goalie saved onto the post, and Pulisic was there to tap it in from close range. And similar with the fourth goal, albeit that was actually a really good, really difficult finish because he was steaming in and then kind of like jumped in and then kind of had to turn his whole body while flying through the air, to get his foot in the direction of where he can actually play the ball. So that was very impressive. And so we touched on the Kai Havertz one, beautiful to see. And then we did actually make it 3-0 through Zouma. The man's now got as many Premier League goals as Timo Werner, more Premier League goals than Anthony Martial, which is just brilliant. It's been a minute since Kurt last scored. Obviously, he hasn't played that much, but when he has played, for example, against West Brom, he missed sitters rather than scoring. And to be honest, he probably could have had two himself yesterday. Even before he made it, he scored one. He probably could have scored one earlier. But brilliant free kick by Mason Mount. Very, well done to win it by Ben Chilwell in the first place. It was a lovely piece of attacking on quite a quick break as well. And lovely delivery, lovely header. What more can you say, really?
Exactly, man. It's kind of what you hope for when Zouma's in the box and it's a set piece. Do you know what I mean? Mount's delivery is getting better and better, and they were already quite good, and that's nice. Like, he obviously aimed to put it on a plate for Zouma, and it was a genuinely really good ball in. The header, I remember before December, before he started not playing so regularly, he was winning the most aerial duels in Europe by quite some way. So It's hardly surprising that he's winning in the air, but his technique when heading it and the manipulation of the power of the cross, perfect. And we're going to go on to it, the fourth goal at some point, but just how nice is it to see both wings of the pitch contributing directly to goals instead of it all being down one side or the other. It's really sort of refreshing almost to see that both sides on the pitch are directly contributing to goals.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And that's one thing we've kind of been missing for way too long, arguably, that it's always been down one side. It's always been very, I don't know how to put it. It's always like, whether it was Frank and even at times under Tuchel, it was always like we attack down that side and that's it. And yesterday it was just everywhere. It was just everywhere. And hey, it was brilliant to see. And for the rest of the first half, we had a couple of other moments which we could have done an edge more with. But at the end of the day, it was half-time at 3-0. We're going to the second half, and it kind of, the first 5 minutes were all the same. And then Palace started to creep into it a little bit more. They pressed us a bit higher. Our passing precision dropped a little bit. Like, we had a couple of moments where we tried to pass our way out of the press, and then our passes just weren't quite there. So we kind of put, Palace into better positions. They eventually got their goal, which wasn't great defending by three people. You could argue Callum, Aspie, and Kante, who were a minute earlier, came on for Jorginho. Didn't look great by any of them. And then obviously, to be honest, I think Rudiger could have done an edge better too, because don't even let Benteke drop off you so much to be in an aerial duel with Chilwell, because I don't think you can blame Chilwell at all for losing he's 5'10", and Benteke is 6'2", 6'3". You can't blame Chilwell for not winning the head.
Yeah, 100%.
And because there was no other Palace player in the box, as far as I'm aware, I think Rudiger could have comfortably dropped with Benteke had he been aware of it. I'm not even going to sit here and say, Rudiger is bad and should have done this much better. I'm just saying, before people blame Chilwell, blame Rudiger, if that makes sense. But yeah, that was a bit disappointing. Obviously, you would have wanted the clean sheet. You would have made the performance look even more brilliant. But what I really liked about conceding the goal, it didn't hurt us at all. It wasn't like, the team seems now, we're going to collapse, or, none of that. Obviously, under Tuchel, we haven't conceded much at all. And when we did against West Brom, we really did collapse, especially after we conceded that 1-1 in injury time before half-time, and then we conceded the 2-1 straight after. So what I really enjoyed is that we kept resilient, and that it didn't throw us off completely, and that it ruined us all completely. So I was very, very pleased with that, actually.
Yeah, it's a good barometer of an improved mentality. The best way I think to look at the game was that was a game where we showed the lessons we've learned from West Brom and Porto, because we got peppered by Porto and got battered by West Brom, and those things did not happen against Palace, and it was sort of a bit too easy. I mean, no disrespect to Palace, but their squad is not great. It's the oldest team in the league, and I think by quite some way as well. Hodgson's doing a good job. They're fine. They're not, but they were never an issue, and I think that's partly due to us, Chelsea, being effective, but Palace are. I'm quite surprised they've not been relegated in the nicest possible way. They're a squad that I believe.
Leicester got another one back in the 91st. Probably too late. I'm not sure if I'm happy with this now or not, because after, we'll get straight back to
No, go for it.
Obviously, West Ham were 3-0 up. Wonderful 1-0 goal with Jesse Lingard. What a goal that is. Then Leicester just were playing a ridiculously high line and not doing very well at playing an offside trap. And then obviously they made it 3. They made it 4, but that was called offside. I didn't actually see the 4th one. But now Leicester got it back to 3-2. That kind of, because when it was 3-0 and possibly 4-0, it was kind of like, yeah, Leicester bottling this. But this, even if they lose still, to get back to 3-2 could give them a little bit of more hope to not collapse again, if you get what I mean.
I'm all right with Leicester losing, to be fair.
Oh, I'm too, but I'm saying it would have been better if they just got back to it than kind of get back to it. That gives them maybe a bit more confidence back.
I don't know. I need both of their mentality shook. So I want Leicester to get back into it but not win, and I need West Ham to be like shaky, just because that's best for us. Do you know what I mean? Like I wanted Leicester to lose, not because West Ham could then jump above us, but like it opens. It means there's now 2 spaces for 6 teams to go for rather than 1. So that kind of is a bit of a positive. And yeah, Lingard's finish. Wow, that's an actual screamer. That is.
To be fair, Bluesboro Joe said here it's 6 minutes of injury time, so you never know. It might still end up in a draw. We'll have to wait and see. But Leicester are really on the verge of bottling this, and I don't have a problem with Leicester. I have quite a few of their players that I actually like. So I don't necessarily like to see them bottling it, as long as we also make top 4 with them. But it sure seems like that, doesn't it? It sure, like that first half by Leicester, they were all over the shop. Like they really were. They did.
Well, I was hearing West Ham fans saying that the most West Ham thing to happen would be West Ham come 4th, and then Chelsea win the Champions League and Arsenal win the Europa League, and then West Ham don't get Champions League football. That's what they're nervous right down to the wire and beyond it.
Because it can only be 5 max, can't it?
Yeah, and I think Liverpool are the biggest concern. They're the biggest threat in my opinion. I know everyone's a bit unconvinced, but if they go out of the Champions League and their run as well, their run though, they've got besides they've got to play United. That's it. They've got bottom half teams for most of the season, and they're not going to be in the Champions League probably. So they're going to have to go for it. And I still kind of back them to when Liverpool go for it, they'll go for it. So, and the win against Villa, like Trent's got a point to prove, Mane's got a point to prove because he's, I took a lot of stick last season for saying Salah's Liverpool's best player because everyone said it was Mane and it isn't. And Mane's still under 10 Premier League goals.
So West Ham, you could argue currently it's probably Jota.
Yeah, probably, yeah, but I'd still say Salah's the best. So there's Spurs, Everton, 2 games in hand as well. It's genuinely really, really close. The Chelsea games against West Ham and then against Leicester, they're cup finals now.
Against Leicester and West Ham, you say?
Yeah, they're cup finals. I care more about those than I do about the league's more important than the Champions League and the FA Cup. It really is, because
then the FA Cup 100%. I feel like once you're in the semi-final of the Champions League, that changes.
Maybe, because I still just can't see us winning.
I would even still agree with you, but if you're in the semi-finals, that changes, I think.
Yeah, but I really can't see us winning it. I would love it. I would obviously, I would love it, but I think City are do it.
Well, let's see if City even make the semis. I mean, they didn't get as good of a quarterfinal result, first leg result than we did, I guess. That will we'll touch about the Champions League in a minute anyway, because obviously Porto is on Tuesday anyway. Let's continue with the game. Like I said, fully agree with your point about the conceding, and it was good that we learned some lessons, and that is important. Obviously, let's hope we can keep learning those lessons and not forget them again, because that was kind of a bit of an issue we had under Frank in both seasons, to be honest. We had a bad result. We bounced back straight away, but then we had a bad result very soon after again, rather than every time going on a great run after a bad defeat. It was kind of like, especially Frank, when he changed to a back 3, And I remember the most vivid was in his first season. We beat Spurs at obviously their stadium with that 3 at the back. And then we did it against Southampton, and it really didn't work. And then we did it against Arsenal, and it so didn't work that he made the change in the 29th minute and brought Jorginho on for Emerson. And I'm like, bro, we weren't working well enough in the 3 at the back system to out of nowhere play against Southampton at home. Like now it's a bit different. We play a bit different. The players kind of know their roles, and it's more attacking than it was when we played the 3 under Frank. But to do that against Southampton at home, to this day, that triggers me a little bit. Obviously, he didn't change anything in the end. We made top 4, so who cares? But still, I remember that day so well when I saw that. I'm like, Frank, it's because it worked against Spurs. You don't need to do it again now. But yeah, to move on from conceding the goal, like I said, we regained control very quickly. What happened?
I got the game on. I got the Leicester game on in the background, and they almost scored again.
Oh bloody hell! It's now 4 time apparently.
Yeah. Just finished now.
Bloody hell!
I'm just always a little bit behind on the app, but bloody hell, I thought they'd done it then. Sorry.
That would have been insane too. No stress at all. That would have been insane, honestly. But yes, obviously we regained control after that, and we should have scored more than we did. Obviously, Reece James then came on for Callum Hudson-Odoi, which I thought was a change that we needed at the time, because how do I put it? We were struggling a little bit down our defensive right-hand side with Callum. Obviously, we conceded the goal down that end, and I thought it was a good change for Reece to come on in that moment. Obviously, in the end, he even provided the assist for Pulisic's second goal, while Kai Havertz, I can't remember whether he had some of the chances before the 4th goal or whether he had most of them after. I cannot remember, but regardless, let's talk about that 4th goal. Brilliant. I was very happy with that. Obviously, I love it when we use the width properly. I love it when we whip in crosses, but they're not just whipped in high, and you have to pray for one of our attackers. And if it's not Giroud, you're very unlikely to even be taller or better in the air than any of the defenders. So just whip that ball across the floor, whip it in front of them. So if they go for it, they might score an own goal. So they're always more hesitant to even attack it or to defend it properly, shall we say. And then you just need that one player that turns up at the far post. And that's my biggest criticism of Timo Werner all the time. Yes, his touches are poor. I get that. And yes, his finishing is annoying. I get that too. But my frustrating thing is people always say he works so hard. But in those finishing types of moments, he doesn't work hard enough for me at all. He's always stood and never makes that run to the far post, because that's exactly the position he plays. That kind of inside left position. He's not a left winger.
Just say you hate him. Just say you hate him. Just say you hate Werner.
No, but Jay, can you tell me that it's not frustrating that he never turns up at the far post? Can you tell me that's not frustrating?
I promise you, when he scores the winner in the Champions League final, I'm going to FaceTime you immediately. I'm just going to smile.
Hey, bro, if he does, I love him forever. But for the time being, I just hope he doesn't play, because otherwise we won't get to the Champions League final.
Oh, there it is. Back at him again. What would you seriously though? I know, right? We'll talk about the 4th goal first in the Champions League, but yeah, it was nice to see the both sides like contribute effectively. That's what we like to see.
Yeah, exactly. It was brilliant.
Nice to see Reece not robbed of an assist either.
Although, do you think he officially got it? I don't know.
I don't think he officially got it, but I'm counting it.
Yeah,
I'm counting it.
Yeah, I was saying it's the same. It's the same situation as Nizar Kinsella and all the journalists tweet. Oh, this is Kai Havertz's first goal in God knows how long. I'm like, no, we're counting Everton. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, it was the right substitution to bring Reece on as well, because we just needed that little bit of presence. And I wasn't too impressed with Kante. Obviously, he's just coming back in. I actually thought we saw a drop off in the midfield when Jorginho came off, and I don't think I've ever said that before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, going into the Champions League, I'm scared to play Pulisic. I actually am, just because Porto, rough team, and I just can't, especially when we're 2-0 up. He would be a nightmare for Real Madrid to deal with, or Liverpool. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know if I want Werner to play either. I'd rather Callum play.
Do you mean just for Porto now in the semi-final? A possible
just for Porto. Just for Porto. I'd play Pulisic in the semi. Pulisic could be one of my 3 starters if everyone's fit.
Yeah. No, like I agree with that. You know, we'll get
It'd
to that
probably
in a
be what
minute.
started against Palace. That would be when everyone's fit. That would be the three I'd probably pick. And then if I could get Cho on at somewhere, I'd take
No,
that as well.
I'm not sure about Cho. We'll get to that in a minute. Because before that, we should probably discuss, as much as Kai Havertz was absolutely amazing, and none of the misses take anything away from how brilliant he was, and he was my man of the match. Especially, I think, after the fourth goal, he should have scored another two himself, like quite comfortably. He was put through by Ziyech once, should have scored. He was put once through by Pulisic once, and I think it was the Pulisic one where he just pulled the trigger so weirdly early. Like, he only just about got in the box and he shot already, which I thought was a bit strange. But again, this is no criticism. This will come. You know, the more he gets used to, I'm in good form, I'm going to score, you know. I'm capable of doing this, the more comfortable he will be with all of these things. Ben Chilwell had a couple of moments, one easy cut back to Mason, which he just didn't, but tried to score with his weak foot. But I mean, fair play. Maybe just go, hey, I scored with my right foot against Porto. I could do that against Palace, because that was his first ever right foot goal. So, you know, for him to go for that shot with his weak foot, it's a bit strange. But hey, fair play. We won in the end, so it doesn't really matter. And we had a couple of moments where we could have just scored more. Do you agree it's just it will come for Kai? It's no stress at all, unlike with other people when they keep missing. And this is not just Werner now. This is no hate for Werner. This is a lot of players that if they don't score that extra second, third goal, you feel like, it's a bit of a problem. But with him, I didn't feel that at all yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I'm looking in the comments, someone's asking me if I'm not a Cobham sexual. I just think the Cobham boys have been the best players this season. If someone changes my mind, then fair enough. Thiago Silva also. Also, someone asked me why I want Ellie's channel. Ellie and I preview every single game together. I've known Ellie since, for ages and ages and ages. So, yeah.
And also, Yusuf Jay has a girlfriend and Ellie is literally married. So, don't make everything ugly.
Yeah. And I know her husband. He's lovely.
Fair enough.
But... yeah, Ellie and I used to own Chelsea Social together before Jam owned it with... Like, Jam took Ellie's.
Oh, I didn't know Ellie used to be involved with that.
Yeah, her and I used to own it together, yeah.
Oh, okay. No idea. Fair play.
With Callum... Not Callum, sorry, with Kai. I saw some people, like, in the quiet corners of social media criticising him quite harshly for those misses. And I was kind of thinking, when you hear the phrase, like, that player's got potential... That's what potential looks like. It's not a final finished article. It's okay, he's picked up these positions and there's just a little bit more to work on. Actually, he's found those positions, which is the most important thing for someone playing that position, is to, like, if you're playing a false nine, all Havertz did all game was be in the right position. His positioning was immense. That's why he's so good to watch, because you're like, that's exactly where he should be every time. The finishing will come. It'll come. Like, it's so obvious. Like, it's just a bit of work. He's a super young guy. Like, he's younger than us, and it'll come. It's more about the movement and the touch. Like, when those things are in place, that's the thing with Timo. Like, the only thing Timo really had was goal scoring, and now, because he didn't have the touch of the placement, because he did score 28 league goals last season. Like,
it did, yeah.
Now because he hasn't worked in his first touch or movement so much previously, because he's just played in behind. Now his finishing's off. He's kind of stuck, isn't he? He's got nowhere to go. Whereas Havertz, if he's not scoring, he's going to be more of an issue, because he's got a much greater ability to find space and dictate attacking movement. Whereas Timo can only be on the end of attacking movements. And when it's not working out, he's when he drops deep, everyone's a bit like, And I'm a big fan of him, and I'm being honest.
You are, and you always take the piss at how critical I am. But I've said this a number of times, and anyone, in my opinion, that agrees with this is kind of just kidding themselves. Him playing in his current form, him playing in any of the front three positions, it's just taking a position away. It's just occupying a position that someone better could be played in. In particular, when he's playing in that left role, because to me, he's not creatively good enough. I know he has assists, but those are cutbacks. That's not creative. He's not creatively good enough to do enough from the left. There is a reason why all season long, when he's playing on the left, the only side we ever attacked down was the right. The reason is Timo Werner. No, I'm not having it any other way. That's the reason. There's no different.
You've got to give him a bit more time. I said 18 months.
I'm not saying this will never change. I'm saying in current form and the form he's been in for the last 4 months. And that's why it's so triggered that people still defend him so much. I'm like, if this was happening for 3 weeks, I understood everyone criticizing me being harsh on him after the miss against Rennes. Because I was like, yeah, sure. He's been great until like 2 weeks ago. So I understood everyone saying, oh, don't be so harsh on him. It's just one miss. But now he's been doing that same kind of thing for 4 months. I'm like,
I think as well, like with you, it's different. I know you well enough to know that like you're criticizing him, but there's also a level of like constructiveness around it. We always sit here and say, well, he's done this poorly, but if he done this, like people jump to defend him quickly because it's like it's very hard over social media to tell whether criticism's constructive or just right out abuse. And because Twitter is such a toxic place now, constructive criticism is also abuse unless it's worded very friendly.
And I will say this as well. It's kind of just become a little bit of a thing now. You know how content creators have their thing. Like Hadji has his Tammy thing, and like Dubois has his Giroud thing, and everyone has their thing, right? And like Pice has the Kovacic thing, and you have the you don't like Jorginho thing.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. I don't mind him. Exactly.
It's kind of just become this thing where everyone just keeps saying Werner agenda, and I kind of just play on it a little bit. So like I exaggerate it more than it's actually true, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I still do believe that he is in a lot of games. It's annoying when he plays that role because like we saw yesterday, we had fluidity in the whole front three. And you just know if Werner was there, you just only would have had the fluidity between Kai and whoever played on the right. You just know that that's true. It doesn't mean that he can't provide positives to the team as well, but he can't do what Pulisic does. Like he's not capable of doing that. I don't think ever, but especially in current form. And then when he plays up top, well, it's just a bit of a problem with height. That's the biggest problem. Of course, if he could finish, it's all a bit different. But even then, up front, depending on the opponent, might not be best suited to him, shall we say. We have a big super chat here by Jester. Big up to yourself, by the way. You're a member as well, so I appreciate the big super chats consistently. I'm saying, I'm so tired of this Hudson-Odoi agenda. He is not good enough for our starting 11 as he is today. He must develop, and he can't do that with us. He needs a loan or transfer to fully reach his potential. Well,
I have an opinion here.
Share your opinion.
So basically, like little story, I only joined Twitter just over a year ago, the whole football Twitter thing. And obviously owning the Chelsea socials mean that I can sort of write and speak to people and do whatever. It's lovely. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some people that's allowed me to promote my voice and get a platform, whatever, all that stuff, like yourself, Laurenz. And the first proper thing I did was I was on a podcast with Goldberg, Matisse and Dami. And my hot take was that Hudson-Odoi is not that good. That it's kind of all smoke and there's no real substance to it. And I stuck for that for quite a while because you constantly see like Hudson-Odoi is going to be like, I get told all the time that Hudson-Odoi's got more potential than Sancho and Sterling. And I'm just a bit like, nah. But then recently,
Did you see though that, who was it, Carragher? Who didn't even, or no, both Carragher and Neville, both not taking Sancho to the Euros. That was quite funny.
Yeah, I think that's mental. But then I like recently watching Callum this year, I'm like, okay, he's beginning to do things that people say he can do, but I've not seen him do. Obviously, he's had a big injury, off the field stuff as well. And I was like, okay, I'm beginning to like this guy. He's shown a bit more. I still think that he needs a loan. I agree, but I don't know if his team and him will really want that loan. So it's a real tough one. He's not really getting the chances in the position he wants to be in. And that's also quite frustrating. But he certainly wouldn't be a player I'd get rid of. He's evidently got a lot of potential. It's just he really, really needs to use the time he gets as constructively as possible. And that's why the assist was so good to see yesterday.
Exactly. Like, so if I can interject, my thoughts on, I don't necessarily think Jesters is wrong when he says he's not good enough for our starting 11. In our very best starting 11, regardless of formation, and everyone being fit, I don't think I'd have Hudson-Odoi in it either. And essentially, that's just what Jesters is saying. But that doesn't mean, Pulisic, we know that sadly, he cannot play every game. And who's the closest type of inside forward, left winger to Pulisic that we have? It's Callum. That doesn't mean when Pulisic is fully fit, Callum should play over Pulisic, but Pulisic, sadly, his body doesn't allow him to do that week in, week out, twice a week. So that's when Callum comes in. And to say he needs to go on loan and he needs to be transferred, well, that just means we need to buy another winger and another wing back. It's good to have a player like Callum who might right now not quite be good enough for our starting 11, but that doesn't mean he can't be helpful in the squad. That doesn't mean he can't be useful in the squad. Plus, he's 20 years old. Like, he's not 24 like Werner or even 22 like Mason Mount. He is 20 years of age. Do you realize how ridiculously young that is? I know the likes of Mbappe and Haaland have started to sway people's opinion of how young you're allowed to be to not be at your full potential yet. But Haaland and Mbappe are freaks. You cannot, like, it's a bit like Messi and Ronaldo. Haaland and Mbappe, I don't think will ever reach quite the levels of Messi and Ronaldo, but they're still of that freak nature. And you can't expect everybody. That's never happened before.
Shall I see what it looks like on my YouTube? I'll go on.
Yeah,
I'll go on
that.
YouTube.
Check that.
How exciting!
Brilliant.
Okay, it's just loading now.
Some people are saying they can hear everything and they see everything. And some people can't, yeah, but clearly not, because otherwise we wouldn't have gone from 170 people to 46 people. So clearly something has gone wrong.
I can see it on my phone now.
Maybe it's fixed itself now.
Maybe
it seems to have fixed itself. Come on, we're back. Everyone, tell everyone to come back in. We went from 170 people to 49 people. It's depressing. We're up to 70 again. Come on. I just changed browsers. Big up yourself, Jester. See, if only everyone was as independent as Jester's. It's working. Brilliant. Thank you. So let's continue. I've completely forgot where we were. Do you remember where we were?
I was rambling. Basically, I was saying that Callum
yeah, that's what we were. No, continue.
Also, let's not forget, Michael M. I see. I'm expecting that super chat to return at some point, mate. I saw your comment.
Michael.
Yeah.
Where's that super chat now?
I saw the comment. Also, if you're coming back, make sure you like the video. Obviously, make sure you subscribe as well. If you're coming back in, just do it, because it really doesn't take much to move your mouse about 4 or 5 centimeters.
Literally.
But yeah, basically, if you can sprinkle Callum in here and there for the rest of the season and into next season, it'll be very effective, because we're going to need a big squad and lots of players are going to get injured. And I really genuinely believe there's going to be multiple big injuries at the Euros, because the players are just knackered. So
there could well be. There could well be at the Euros. The Euros will be a tough one anyways. And like you said, there's only a 3-week period between the Champions League final. Is it between the last Prem game, or is it between the Champions League final and the Euros?
Maybe the Champions League final.
Because the Champions League final, I think, is 2 weeks after the last Prem game. Because the FA Cup final is a week after the last Prem game.
I will look now while we're chatting.
You go do that. But yeah, at the end of the day, before we talk about other topics, what a brilliant game yesterday. And I don't think we can ask much more. Well, I want to take a minute to praise our midfield duo, obviously, until we made a sub. But even Kante, I know it didn't start very well because we straight conceded, but after that, he still got into it more and more and more. So can't criticize it too much.
It's a month. It's a month from the last Premier League game to the first Euros game.
Yeah, no, I mean, still, that means just 2 weeks between the Champions League final and the first Euros game. So Kane 1-0. They haven't even started yet. What are you talking about? Oh, they have. No, they haven't. They only started in 7 minutes. So what are you talking about, Rowan? But here's the super chat from Michael. Big up yourself, bro. We win the Champions League game. I agree. Dubois has written all of the stars into the sky, and it's just going to happen, right? It's just going to happen. And I keep saying this. 2021, 2012, you just flip 2 numbers round, and we're just going to make it better by finishing top 4 and winning the Champions League and FA Cup. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it to change. I appreciate the donation. But yeah, like I said, I quickly want to just highlight how good Jorginho and Kovacic were today. Obviously, their whole team. And then I'll get to the question about what you think about the wing-backs for Emil. Or the wing-back play, shall we say. The press that we had in midfield today, how good both Jorginho and Kovacic were at getting that ball back so quickly. Like, obviously, it was the front three as well and the wing-backs too. But especially those two were just so good at it. It was just so good to see for me. And we we were more daring than I think we've ever been in a single game this season. Both of them played so many ridiculously high quality over the top balls. It was kind of like literally a reverse opposite of the Porto game, where we just punted long ball after long ball after long ball, and every one of them was bad. Literally, every one of them was bad. And yesterday, pretty much every long ball was brilliant. Like, honestly, it was so good to see. I was so happy with all of them. Obviously, Kovacic was maybe slightly more obvious on the eye, shall we say. But that's natural. I mean, if you play a double pivot, you're almost always going to have one guy that's a bit more attacking and one guy that's a bit more defensive. So that only made sense to me. But what did you make of those two yesterday? I mean, even you said when Kante came on, we dropped a little bit of shall we say, prowess in midfield. But even you must be happy with that game or performance from the two.
Mate, I don't know. I like him. I like Jorginho. It's just he frustrates me. That's all, and he frustrates me more than a lot of other players in the team. He's a bit like Willian for me. But yeah, no, it's not harsh. It's not harsh. It's true. It's true. Because on their day, they're the best player on the pitch, but I don't think that day is as often as it should be. You know, like yesterday, if Jorginho has that a bit like, and it's just the way I think about it, man. Like, if Jorginho, I would much rather his pass accuracy be a little bit lower as if he was trying those expansive passes consistently. I say it all the time. You know, it's not necessarily his role. It's just sort of my own preference, and it's very hard for people to understand that. I'm not really being that horrible about him. It just, I would like to see it. It doesn't mean I'm right. It's just what I would like to see. It's him be a bit more expansive and play those riskier passes, because you can see from yesterday, like when he actually does it, they're more often than not bang on. Like, he really does have that ability in his back pocket. And I just wish we saw it a bit more. And I mean, he was a boss yesterday. He's an absolute boss. And when Kante came on, I don't think we were as good. So credit to Jorginho, because that's, you know, rarely the case. When Kante comes on, the team doesn't improve. So yeah, and Kovacic, obviously. I mean, he was brilliant. Yeah,
I definitely see what you're saying, and even I, as much as I like Jorginho and I praise him a lot, sometimes when people even criticize him, on the same day I praise him. Even I would love to see more of those passes, but I will also make the case that if we're gonna, because, like you said, it's probably not quite his role in that double pivot. I feel like criticizing Jorginho for not playing those passes more just highlights that whoever plays next to him doesn't do it enough. Because if whoever plays next to him did it enough, then we wouldn't even require it from Jorginho, if that makes sense. Because when we was playing Kante and Matic, we wasn't having a go at Kante not playing consistent over the top balls. We were playing Fabregas and Kante. We weren't having a go at Kante for not playing enough over the top balls. I know, obviously, because Jorginho can do it, that's why it's a bit different. But I'm still saying, if the other person in midfield does it, no one minds that Jorginho doesn't do it. Do you see what I'm saying with that, Jay?
Yeah, but he is the guy to do it.
Is he? Because he hasn't done it enough, so is he? Because he didn't do it at Napoli either.
Because of course, but there's no one in the team that really demonstrates that ability. Like, he's like that glimpse behind the curtain of like, wow, he can do that. That's why I say he's like Willian. You know, like Willian is quite a restricted player, usually quite effective, and people do like him, like they do with Jorginho. But when he's on his game, you can't touch him. You know, when we beat Spurs 2-0 under Lamps in the first season, and Willian just you couldn't lay a finger on him. They absolutely could not lay a finger on him.
Why I said I think it's harsh to compare him with Willian is because I think the average level is quite a bit higher. In terms of like Willian had either he had a great game or he had an average game or a shocking game. Jorginho a good game. Very rarely that he has the superstar game, a bit like yesterday.
He'd, you know, just be a bit more expansive. But I know that's not necessarily his role. I'm okay with that. Because you are right. Like, when it goes well for him, he's very good.
So some people are saying we're back. Some people are saying we're not. Can you check again on your YouTube, Jay?
Yeah, of course, mate.
Because I don't even know whether we're just talking to each other, whether we're talking to the people.
It's just better. They can just listen to our... Okay, people saying back.
Back again. All right. And it's gone. What do you mean, Damani? You can't ruin it.
We're getting savaged.
And gone again. What is going on today?
It's working on my phone, bro.
Fluctuating a lot today. I mean, clearly.
Sorry.
It's got 69 viewers, brilliant. This is a shambles. Like, I don't even know what to do about it. I don't have an extra button to click to solve any of these problems. Like, because my problem is I don't even know, is it YouTube's fault or is it StreamYard's fault? But StreamYard isn't telling me anything wrong. So.
Okay, looks like it's good. Now it's working. Sorry, everyone. I mean, it's not really my fault or anyone's fault, but sorry anyway.
No, it's definitely not Jay's fault. That's 100% true. I don't remember where we were. Jay was slagging off Jorginho.
No, I wasn't. This is a hard agenda. I got 2 agendas that I run, well, actually maybe 3, that I think Christensen's really good. I like Ben Chilwell, and I want Mason Mount to be Chelsea captain. They're the 3 things that I run.
This is the longest time you've been back now for a while. We're brilliant, Emil. So were we all the time going in and out? Bloody hope not. I need to check this back after. Well, we're back. Tottenham and United have now kicked off. Appreciate this, Jester. We won't be going for crazy amounts longer. Michael, if you want to drop the extra super chat, hey, don't don't feel like you don't have to or like you couldn't.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Exactly. What did I want to say? Yeah, like I said, I just think Jorginho just has a higher level, like average performance level, if that makes sense.
I'd argue that's probably fair enough. I'd say that's probably fair enough.
I think you're just scared that Melinda's mad at you now.
I'm slightly concerned, but
I love it. No, it's brilliant. Let's move on to quickly talk about the Champions League, because you asked me earlier who would you play there and that. You people know what I think about Timo Werner, but what I would do is, because we're 2-0 up, play Timo up top as a striker, play Mount and Ziyech behind him to just have the work rate intensity there. Because, like you said, don't start Pulisic again. Way too risky. Don't do that. Callum in the front 3. I see what you're saying with that, but I think we're 2-0 up. I don't need that. Just put Werner up top, and those long balls we played last game out to put Werner and to put Havertz in an aerial duel against Pepe and Mbemba all the time. Don't do that. Just play them a bit longer, and Werner can run after them, if that makes sense. A bit like against Liverpool. Obviously, Porto won't necessarily play like Liverpool, but who knows how they'll play, and they'll probably have to be more aggressive. They're 2-0 down. So that's my logic, what I would do. But what would you do for that?
What would I do for what? Say again, mate. Sorry.
For Porto.
I'd play the same front 3 and just risk Pulisic, even though it scares me, because he's brilliant.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think with the how the physical problem went, I just think we're 2-0 up, just chuck Werner up top, like Jester said here, chuck Werner up top, Mount and Ziyech behind him, get the work rate in, and just punt long balls if we need to, but at least punt them long enough so Werner can run after them. that's my logic here. And like I said, I just wouldn't play Pulisic. Play Pulisic against City, or if you don't want to. But the thing is with this FA Cup semis, we're going to play this semi-final now regardless. So whether we win or not, all we get is an extra game between the last Prem game and the Champions League final. So it doesn't really give us a bad extra game, right? So for me, my logic with that is you might as well go all out against City. If this was the quarters and we're in the situation that we were in at the time, fine. Don't necessarily play the best squad against City. But because of the situation we're in, you might as well. Also, obviously, as much as I hype it, the Champions League and that, there's always a chance that we don't win that, right? That we got knocked out by Real Madrid or Liverpool or whatever happens in the semis. But we really want a trophy. We really need that trophy.
It would be unbelievable if Chelsea won the Champions League again.
I would be so crazy.
Be unbelievable. Like it's almost too nice to think about, because if you indulge in that thought too much, that's a bit silly, isn't it? Like you can't. I won't even think about it until the end of the game's done, and then like I can't think about anything but the game in front. Like I can't give it to myself to say like maybe Chelsea gets to the final, because I can't do it to myself, man.
Now, I've honestly kind of just spoken myself into it that like, now this is just happening now. I'm just speaking it into existence. So like, I don't know. I feel like if I'm too negative about it, it can't happen. So I just need to be so positive about it and just making it happen, if that makes sense. That's my logic. But you touched on the semi-final earlier already. by the way, who would you prefer to play in the semis? Obviously, Real Madrid are in the driving seat for that quarterfinals against Liverpool, but who would you prefer to be faced up against?
Liverpool, probably.
Really? Okay.
Just because if there's one team with more like Champions League, I always think of Liverpool as the Champions League team.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's one team that is more Champions League than Liverpool, it's Real Madrid, and their midfield is nuts. It will shred us apart if it goes right.
No one wants to see that, Jester. You don't need to do this.
As long as you super chat before it.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you super chat before it. Thankfully, you can't super chat pictures because now what?
Just go streaking and just have like at LAUS 1507 just written all over you. There you go. See if you put that push to 10K, I reckon.
That'll push to 10K. It probably would do. I expect Jesters in Istanbul streaking with at LAUS 1507 all over his body. Did you hear that dude that streaked at the Man United game that he was hiding inside the stadium for like 24 hours or 14 hours before that? Like, I don't know whether he hid there naked or whether he had clothes elsewhere.
But, oh my God. Man, it would have been so cold.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I know it's Spain and that, but still.
Oh, still. That's nuts.
It's a madness. For me, I definitely see what you're saying. I also think it would be slight edge easier to beat Liverpool than it would be Real Madrid, and I know this isn't the mentality that I maybe should have, but I would be less bothered if we get knocked out by Real Madrid than by Liverpool. Hence why I want to play Real Madrid.
Do you know? Okay. Let me think about it. It's like in terms of the easier fixture, I think ever so slightly Liverpool are less good at the moment. However, I do think if this Chelsea team can win away at the Bernabeu, that does wonders for a team. It does absolute wonders for a team to beat Real Madrid is crazy. Like that rarely happens. I know they're not
playing at the Bernabeu. We're playing in the training.
But like, even so, like to beat Madrid, regardless, is a crazy achievement. Because it doesn't happen too often, more so now since Ronaldo's left, but they're still Real Madrid. They've still got multiple 4 or 5-time Champions League World Cup winners in that team.
They do. I mean, they have people that won the Champions League 3 times in a row. Some of them even 4 times.
And can you imagine, like, just smashing a couple goals past Courtois? It'd be a dream. It'd be lovely.
Not making him. That would be. What's the word? Revenge.
Yeah. But we're not bitter Chelsea fans, me and Laurenz. It's just
no, not at all. Not at all. We would never. We would never be bitter. Like I said,
I would play Chilwell. I play Chilwell as well.
Against Porto.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, against Porto. Against Porto.
Oh yeah, of course. Obviously. I mean, if you ask me, I would never play Alonso ever. But we have to rotate. But hey, I've said this many times before. I prefer Emerson to Alonso, no matter the position. I understand Alonso's strength. I get that, but it just annoys me when he touches the ball. Like in terms of build-up play, it just triggers me.
I mean, I think everyone's in the same boat as you. To be fair, mate. I think he triggers a lot of people, doesn't he? So yeah, but I'm confident. I'm confident.
Confident, regardless against who we play in the semi-finals as well. No,
I'm not. I'm confident we'll beat Porto. I don't know in the semi-finals because it's
so. I
still believe City. Yeah, I still believe City are the favourites, but Real Madrid are picking up form at the right time. Beating Liverpool, beating Barcelona. And they're a team that when they're on form, you just don't play against. You don't want that. You just don't want any part of that. I know he's done well recently, but I don't particularly rate Vinicius Jr. I think he's massively overrated. But if Ramos is going to be back, then that's my main issue. Ramos and then that midfield.
I don't know whether he will be back, but he might be.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe someone can let us know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, maybe Real Madrid don't know either, to be honest. I mean, to be fair, beating Barcelona yesterday, that was mostly down to the referee because Barcelona denied the clear as day penalty. Yeah. And the guy just pulled on his arm. Like, pulled it back as if he was training with the stretchy band and then trying to run away from him or something. Like, it was crazy. How was that not a penalty? But yeah, I mean, for me, Real Madrid, I think we are capable of beating both Real Madrid and Liverpool. If both hit form, both are difficult, but we're hitting form as well. So, everything's possible. I think everything's possible. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves for the time being. Let's just be solid against Porto. Let's just get that done. Whether we get a 0-0, whether we lose 1-0, I don't care. Just make the semi-final. I do not care how. If we batter them 4-0, brilliant. But at the end of the day, I don't care how. I really do not. And ladies and gentlemen, because this has been a very difficult stream with YouTube, cutting in, cutting out, whatever kind of dodgy things they have me doing, and we're only at 84 viewers right now because they killed us. They killed us on the rise up to get above 200. They killed it, but hey, cheers YouTube, appreciate that. I wonder if they will compensate me. Probably not. But ladies and gentlemen, those 84 of you that are watching right now, if any of you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. That'd be massively appreciated. Let's get to 9.2k. Right now, if we haven't already, we might have done. We were only like 10 away before the stream, so we might have done already. But we're on the road to 10k subscribers, so make sure you get subscribed if you haven't already. Smash that like button. So usually I say let's aim for 100 likes, but we don't even have 100 people right now. So we're at 74 likes to be fair, and 84 people watching. I can't really complain, guys, to be honest. So, but if any of you are still here that haven't smashed the like button yet, go do that right now. If you want to become a member, there's a link in the description if you're on phone, or if you're on desktop, there's a join button underneath. Of course, check out Jay on at the Chelsea Social. The link is down in the description, and check out his Twitter as well. But yeah, Jay, any last words that you have post Palace, pre Porto, and share those with us?
Just be nice to each other on social media. It goes a long way, yeah. And have a nice Sunday evening and a good start to your week, because if the football's going well, then life's a little bit better.
100%. Honestly, I'm telling you that it's so windy here. Every 2 seconds, I think my window's just going to break. So, let's hope that doesn't happen. And I wish all of you guys a wonderful evening. Let's hope the Manchester United-Tottenham game goes our way, or Tottenham-Manchester United game goes our way. Probably we're hoping for a draw here, aren't we?
I don't know. I don't care. I'd be alright with Man United winning, to be honest, because I don't see them getting dragged into a top 4 race. I think they're the top 2, and then it'd be Leicester, West Ham. I don't know. It's funny to see Spurs do rubbish. So
either United win or a draw, but definitely we don't want Spurs to win. I mean, regardless of the top 4 race, we never want Spurs to win anyway. But yeah, we're going to leave it here. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button, and up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I'll see you next time.